So what's going on YouTube? It's JeffMan316 coming back to you with what I'm going to call a recommendation video. I wanted to record this either the day before or during the Thanksgiving holiday, but it was way too hectic and I didn't have time. So now that we've all had Thanksgiving dinner, had time for it to settle, taking back, I'm sure you're going to be off the day after Thanksgiving like I am. Gonna take a breath, relax, and sit down and maybe enjoy some movies. So when I was sitting down trying to think about what would I want to watch during Thanksgiving, I started digging through my movies and looking online or whatever, and I thought, you know, I keep saying I'm going to make some more videos related to movie content, so let's go ahead and get that started with this recommendation video. This is going to be movies that I recommend that you watch during the Thanksgiving holiday season. So you got the rest of the weekend, you hit this list, and maybe you can watch a few of these and get some enjoyment. Before we get started with the list, if you'll do me a favor, do the normal YouTube thing, like this video, throw some comments below once you see my list, whether you like it or don't like it, and then go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because I'm new to YouTube and I'm trying to get this channel started, and any help and support that you could do in that way, I would really appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get started. I tried to get this list down to 10 and I couldn't really do it, and so I eventually was able to trim it down to 12. So what I'm going to do is, there's two that really aren't that big as far as Thanksgiving, but I liked them. I thought that they were good choices as honorable mentions. So I'm going to throw two honorable mentions out first. The first one being Grumpy Old Men. So that stars Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, and they just have great on-screen chemistry. I think the two of those guys work well together. They've got Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men. I really enjoyed the first one the most. There's a scene in that movie that's related to Thanksgiving that if you don't watch it for anything else, I think it's really worthwhile checking it out. So check out Grumpy Old Men. Like I said, I don't really want to spoil it, but that movie will warm your heart and tickle your funny bone, as they say. I wanted to think outside the box, and so this one is really outside the box, so I didn't want to include it in the top 10, but I thought I'd be funny and include it in this video anyway. My second honorable mention is going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And hear me out. With that, is not, obviously is not Thanksgiving or holiday related. But if you look at it, they do emphasize family, the importance of family, the importance of eating together. If you look through the whole series, at least it's peppered through there, where when they get that their victim and they want to introduce them to the family, so to speak, they have a meal with them. And so the whole series is about, you know, making food and the family staying together and eating together. So I thought that was kind of a funny way to segue into my real top 10 list. But check out the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I'm going to go ahead and start the list with a traditional favorite. This list wouldn't be complete if there's at least a couple movies that you're probably going to be able to guess from the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and start with one of those. Number 10 on my list of movies to check out at Thanksgiving is A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. It's a traditional favorite. I grew up as a child of the 70s. It was one of those staple television programs / I don't know, I guess that's what you want to call it, specials. I know it's not a movie, but I would be remiss if I didn't include A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. It's a classic. There's no way you can have Thanksgiving without checking that one out. On the same lines of A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving is going to be number 9. My number 9 choice is Freebirds. It's an animated movie that has the voices of Owen Wilson, Woody Harrelson, and Amy Poehler. It's got a really cool plot where the turkeys get together and time travel back to the original Thanksgiving, to where they want to change the menu so that way all turkeys would be safe, you know, moving forward. It's real funny. It's a movie that you can enjoy the whole family. It's got enough in there where I think adults can enjoy it, but the rest of this list is going to have a lot of choices for adults. So if you want to get the kids involved, those first 2 choices are a good way to start. So number 8 it's sort of a family movie, but it's got some more of adult overtones, but I'm going to include it in there for one reason and one reason only. Number 8 is Addams Family Values. I didn't enjoy Addams Family Values as much as the original Addams Family movie, but there is an awesome Thanksgiving related scene in there. I'm not going to exactly spoil the content, but what I will say is Christina Ricci has a scene in there where it's during her Thanksgiving play, and she's dressed as a classic Native American, and she gives a monologue that's just off the charts, and it's funny. This movie's obviously got some dark humor in it, so check that movie out if nothing for that one scene, and it's totally related to Thanksgiving. So now it's time to get some movies where your dad would enjoy this list. There's no way that I'm going to not include horror movies, as being a fan of horror myself. So number 7 on my list of movies to check out during Thanksgiving is Blood Rage. It's a classic 80s slasher movie. I didn't even watch it back in the 80s. I didn't even know this movie existed. Somehow missed it. It fell off my radar. But discovered it last year through the Facebook group that I'm in, Killer Flicks. Somebody recommended it. Arrow Release finally put out a special edition Blu-ray of it. I bought it, and it's basically twin brothers, and one of them is a supposed serial killer or killer, and one of them isn't. And then the one brother escapes. I guess it'd be a mental institution. I haven't watched it but once, so I have to go back and revisit that. But I think he escapes from a mental institution and wreaks havoc coming back home on almost said Halloween, Thanksgiving night. So it's total 80s cheese, and if you don't believe me, I've got the classic poster art that I like up right now. I'm going to switch to the alternate. It's the one that I don't like. It's came with the Arrow release. Maybe this was the original, but I don't like this artwork. I'm going to put it up here. To me, it looks totally like it's a 80s porno movie. Just look at the look on this dude's face. I can't stand it. I like the other artwork better, and in my display in my movie collection, I'm going to display it with the lady screaming as the artwork. So number 7 is Blood Rage. Number 6 is total cheesy camp. And if you don't like that stuff, you can skip it, but I do. So number 6 is Thanksgiving. It's campy, it's vulgar. What more could you want? It's got a rubber turkey puppet that's in it that's doing the rampage. I don't know what else you could ask for. I'm not sure who made this movie. I have to go back and look. But if they didn't make it, it's total trauma. So if you don't like that type of movie, skip down to the rest of this list. But I wanted to put some classic slasher / horror cheese right here in the middle. So number 6 is Thanksgiving. Number 5 is a movie that I discovered a couple years ago, and I really like it. I watched it a couple times. It's called Christy. It stars Haley Bennett and Ashley Greene, and Haley Bennett is supposed to be, she's a student on campus of a college, and she's supposed to be going home for Thanksgiving with one of her friends. Well, that friend's plans changed, so she ended up getting stuck on campus, basically alone. There's a few people on campus, but not very many. And then she goes out one night to a convenience store and has a run-in with Ashley Greene's character. Total polar opposite of what she would normally play. So if you check out Ashley Greene in this, I mean, she's usually a preppy, the pretty girl. It's the opposite of that. So that's one reason to watch it, just the great character that Ashley Greene plays and how opposite it is to everything she normally does. I really like this movie. It's got some tropes of classic slashers in it, but it does have, it tries to make a different little angle at it, and obviously it's her over Thanksgiving holiday, which is why I included it in this list. So now we're going to go back. I'm not going to include any more horror movies in this list, but we're going to go with some non-traditional Thanksgiving movies, just because I wanted to, like I said, spice the list up a little bit. It's a movie called, at number 4, it's a movie called Friendsgiving. It just came out here recently. It's got an ensemble cast. Malin Ackerman is, I think how you pronounce her name, and Kat Dennings. They play the two main characters. They're at a kind of a fork in the road, or turning points in their life, if you want to call it that. Both of them have been in relationships, and both of them have had breakups. I think one was married and one was just in a relationship with their partner. They thought that they were going to, go the route of getting married, and so they come together as friends, and they said they want to have a Thanksgiving together. What I think they thought was going to be more of a traditional Thanksgiving turns out to be anything other than that. Family members invite other people that they weren't expecting, including past lovers, potential girlfriends for the one character. It's got a really funny character played by Jane Seymour, who Malin Ackerman's, she plays her mother. Total kind of opposite of some of the roles that she's played. Really self-centered, doesn't care about anybody else, probably doesn't even remember how she raised her children, but wants to try to give her advice. That's really funny. There's one character in it though that I was disappointed in, and it's character played by Christy Taylor, and she's I think she's still married to Ben Stiller, but she was in Dodgeball and I loved her in that. But in this one she plays a character who has had Botox injections, I think, or a facelift, and is just coming out of that surgery and can't speak and has to mumble most of the movie. Now, it's a pretty good running gag, but not for someone like her. Anybody could have done that. I think she could have played one of the other characters, or at least a character that would have some dialogue. She's really funny. I like her, so I was disappointed in that. But other than that, it's got a really big ensemble cast. A lot of different characters pop in and out. It's got a lot of dialogue, and I'll warn you with that. It's totally dialogue driven. Most of it takes place at their one house. Not a lot of, interaction with people outside. Other than some scenes at the end, but it's really funny. It's more like a dramedy. I like it. Check that out if you like any of those actors or actresses. Did I even mention any actors? I think it was just actresses, so sorry about that. My number 3 pick is a movie that I like, and it's going to probably seem like a really strange pick. Number 3 on my list of movies to watch at Thanksgiving, The Oath. It's really timely for what we're going through now in the political landscape, and I'm not going to go down that path, but it's more what I could call a dark comedy. Used to be called black comedies. I don't know, can you say that anymore? Is that really the way they call it? If not, I apologize, but it's where the government wants everybody to take a loyalty pledge, and you need to sign up and do it prior, or I think the deadline is Black Friday. And so you've got the husband of the family that's played by Ike Barinholtz, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and his wife is played by Tiffany Haddish, and she's funny over the top in anything, take no shit kind of character, whether it's a comedy or not. Really like both of those characters. They play a husband and wife team well, who's always at odds. Well, they're trying to decide. They don't think they want to take the oath, and other family members during that weekend, that Thanksgiving, come in, and they're basically trying to convince them that they should. Some family members want to, some family members don't. So it's got a little patriotism / maybe overtones of racism in there, but it really tries to play it up and be funny about it, and just take it over the top to show people just how stupid, if you want to call it that, they can be about these types of things, and how we really should be working together and be a family together. I liked kind of some of the themes of it. It's not that it probably wasn't that popular of a movie, but I wanted to include some off the wall stuff in this list. So with that being said, though, the top 2 on my list are going to be really what I would call traditional Thanksgiving movies that I think everybody, hold on a second. Traditional movies that I think everybody has seen, but they don't wear themselves out with repeat viewings. Number 2, SonInLaw. It's a Pauly Shore classic from the 90s, where he plays an RA at a college, and he travels back home to the family farm of one of his students that he's helping advise. You've probably seen it, but it's worth revisiting. It's a total classic comedy from the 90s. I think it's the best movie Pauly Shore ever did. Totally worth checking out. My only complaint is I've got it on DVD. I think you can stream it. But where in the hell is the Blu-ray release? There's no reason that I don't have a high definition or anamorphic widescreen version of SonInLaw on my collection over here. on my shelves. There's no reason for that. So, but either way, no matter which way you have to try to figure out how to watch it, you should really revisit that movie. If you haven't seen it, it's well worth it. It's awesome, and I think it'll go down as Pauly Shore's best movie ever. I don't see him making anything now that comes close to that. So the number one movie you probably already know. Everybody picks it. It's kind of cliche to be a pick, but it truly is in the top 10 of my all-time favorite movies, whether that be comedy, drama, horror, whatever. I have to revisit it multiple times during the year. It's one of my favorites. The number one movie on my list of movies to check out at Thanksgiving. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I know you've seen it, and if you haven't, shame on you. And if you have, what are you waiting for? Watch it again this Thanksgiving. It's almost become, to me, a classic that you have to watch every year, kind of like A Christmas Story is at Christmas. I have to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. John Candy and Steve Martin, classic, working together. They've never been more awesome than they are in this movie. It's got some obviously classic scenes, but the one famous one probably makes it to where it might be a tough watch in front of the kiddos during Thanksgiving, but it's the classic rental car scene where Steve Martin drops 18, I think it's 18 F-bombs during that scene. If you can make it past that or want to skip past that, everything else in it is classic comedy that everybody will enjoy. Sorry about that if you see any blip, had a camera issue. But to go back to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, they even try to pull your heartstrings, and they do a great job at it. So it's got it's funny, it's heartwarming. John Candy playing the lovable loser the best way that he knows how, and one of his best roles that I think, even though I enjoy him on Uncle Buck, I really love him in this. There's no way that you won't laugh and have tears of laughter during the movie, and kind of like tears of heartwarming sadness, if you want to call it that, at the end. It's just an awesome movie all the way around. And just a note, I just saw recently on a video that I watched on YouTube that this movie was over 3 hours when they originally filmed it, and they trimmed it down to 2 hours, and Paramount made them even cut more out of that. And the Blu-ray only has one deleted scene. I don't know where the rest of the movie is. I wish, John Hughes, God rest his soul, I wish he had, rescued some of this. But I would love to see it. But even so, the cut version of this movie is classic. I don't know that I would want to enjoy it any other way during Thanksgiving. I'd like to see the rest, but it's fine just the way it is. I love it, and it's my number one pick of movies that you should watch during the Thanksgiving holiday. So I guess I'll wrap this up. Hope everybody enjoyed this list, maybe found a nugget or two in there that you might not have thought of, or that you may have never seen. Please do me a favor and do the normal YouTube stuff and like this video. If you liked the list or didn't like the list, make some comments down below. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I'm new. I could use the support. I'm hoping to make more movie lists, more movie reviews to sprinkle in with everything else that I do pop culture related. And then hit the notification bell, because you'll be the first to know when JeffMan316 Pop Culture Reporter posts new videos. So that being said, I hope everybody's had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you have a great rest of your holiday. And this is JeffMan316, your Pop Culture Reporter, signing out saying, you guys be safe out there.